Hi guys, so this is Katie. Welcome to Creative Travel Guide. So today I thought I would talk to you about my life here in China and our travels here in China. So if we haven't met before, my name is Katie. I live in a place called Tianjin with my husband Callum, and Tianjin is just outside of Beijing. So it's about 30 minutes away. And we've lived here now for just over a year. And we really love China. Like, China is such an unusual and different experience for us. We're from England, which is honestly polar opposites to China. So we have really enjoyed our life here so far, and we actually have been traveling China quite a bit. So for the time when I had time off work, I'm an international school teacher here, and when we had time off school, we went traveling. So today I thought I would share with you some of the time of our experience traveling here in China. So, and the reason I'm doing that, by the way, is because whilst we were traveling, we vlogged it and filmed it all. And we have been editing our videos, and they will be going up live really soon. So we are going to be uploading those videos very soon. So make sure you keep an eye out for them. We're really proud of them because we are sharing kind of our travels. And yes, that series will be coming soon. So today I will be talking to you about those travels, but if you do have any questions about travel or life in China, do make sure if you're watching this live, then drop them in the chat and I'm more than happy to answer them whilst we're here now. If you aren't watching this live, then make sure you leave them in the comments below because I can answer them at a later date. So to begin with, we left Tianjin, which is where we live, and we flew down to Shanghai. Now, Shanghai is a pretty awesome city. We have been there before, and it's really unusual because it feels like it's actually quite small. When we first went to Shanghai, we only were there for like 3 days, and we saw all the main sites, and we're like, right, we're done. There's nothing else to see. And then this time we went back, and we're like, how have we missed all of this? So we spent a few days in Shanghai, and on the first day, we actually went to Nanjing Road. So Nanjing Road is a really popular pedestrian street, and we went on a Friday evening, so it was really busy and really popular. There were lots and lots of people, but it also meant that there were lots of food stores that were out. So we tried some like dumpling things. We tried some lamb kebabs, and we had a really nice time just seeing the atmosphere of a busy kind of Friday evening in Nanjing Road. So that was our first night in Shanghai. It was a great start to our trip. Then the following day, we were up early. We went for some noodles for breakfast because here in China, noodles are acceptable to eat for breakfast. And we actually went to a place called Yuyuan Old Street. Now, Yuyuan Old Street is the place where you can go to Yew Gardens. And we were silly. We went on a Saturday. We had been to Yew Gardens before, but on a Saturday, it is incredibly busy. So we just kind of spent the time looking around the Old Street area. We really enjoyed the garden area because you could see lots of kind of traditional Chinese buildings and trying lots of street food. And it was really good fun. So first of all, we went there. And then we went to a place called People's Park. And the most unusual thing was happening in People's Park. We've never been before to the park. They had a marriage market. Now, that might sound a bit strange, and I've kind of learned a little bit more about this from my TA, Jessie, who's a local Chinese member of staff at my school. And basically what a marriage market is a place where the parents or grandparents of single people will go to this park and put out information about the children, their grandchildren or their children, trying to find a match for them. So basically, they had these umbrellas out, these massive umbrellas that were dotted around this whole park. It's a really big park. And you could, like, on each of these umbrellas, there was a piece of paper. Sometimes there was a photo, sometimes there wasn't. And it would just list information, like lots of different types of information. And when I spoke to Jessie, my TA, she was saying that it was not just about their name or their age, but it's also about what job they have, what their height and their weight is, how much money they earn, whereabouts they live, what type of place that they live in. And it's really kind of detailed stuff that people can just walk around and learn about other people, which is obviously a very different experience to what we have in the UK. And we talk about this, I do talk about this a bit more in the video, so make sure you watch it if you're interested in it when it comes out. But basically, the reason they have it is because there's a lot of pressure on younger people to get married when they're quite young. And that's why, and there's not much time for people to go out and meet people. but there's also not much of a kind of drinking culture here either. So, but yeah, I'll go into more detail in the actual video, but it was really interesting. Like, I found it fascinating. So we went to this People's Park, and then one of my favorite places in Shanghai, and it sounds absolutely ridiculous when I say it out loud, we went to the biggest Starbucks in the world. So in Shanghai, they are happy to say that they have the biggest Starbucks in the world. And it really was massive. It was like a 2-story building. And you could see, it was kind of like a roastery, so that you could see the coffee being made and you could see it being packaged as well. They also didn't just have coffee, they had teas and different flavored teas. And they had like everything else as well. Like, it was a full-on varied cafe. And so what they had is they had like pizza, they had chocolate, like handmade chocolate, they had cakes. It was just incredible. Like, I was really impressed. And it sounds really strange because I do like coffee, but I'm not I'm not the type of person to have lots of different flavors. You know, caramel macchiato is my limit. That's probably about it. So it was really interesting, and I really enjoyed it personally. But it's a bit of a random thing to do. So that's how we spent our afternoon. And then in the evening, we went to the Bund. So the Bund is a really beautiful area to visit in Shanghai. It has a beautiful view of the river, and you can see all of the financial districts across. And there was really nice, like, when it's lit up at night, it is just stunning. One of my favorite things to do, Callum was taking some time with taking like time-lapse photos of the area. And I really enjoyed watching people getting their wedding photos done. So here in China, whenever you go to somewhere that's really picturesque or a really fun place to take photos, 9 times out of 10, you'll see somebody there dressed in their wedding outfits, getting their photos taken, no matter what time of day it is. And it was a Saturday night on the Bund. It was so incredibly busy. And I think I saw like 4 or 5 couples getting these photos done in these massive flamboyant dresses, like moving people out the way so that they could get these perfect shots. I really like the dresses. The Chinese dresses here are just stunning. And because they don't always go like with traditional white. And there was one dress that was like red with what kind of, can I describe as like a blue dragon type thing? It was really nice. But I mean, I wouldn't wear it because I couldn't really get away with it. But it was an interesting attire to wear for your wedding. So anyway, so that was the Bund. Really nice time just kind of enjoying it, watching the sunset, watching the lights coming up over the Bund view. So that was really lovely. On the third day, again, so I think I mentioned before, in Shanghai, we had done all of the big tourist attractions. So this time in Shanghai, we did a few more of the unusual sites. So on the third day, we went to a place called Thames Town. Now, Thames Town is like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's London, but in China. So basically what's happened in China, and there's a few different types of these towns, and we went to a few more in this trip, and we'll go to a few more whilst we're here, and we'll definitely share them, so don't worry, you'll see them, is they have these kind of, for want of a better way to describe them, ghost towns. And what's happened is, because the cities have got so popular and overpopulated, the government have created these little kind of sub-towns, sub-cities outside of the cities to kind of fill people up in, so that people don't live in the center of Shanghai. They go and live in Thames Town. And to be able to try and kind of distribute people, they've done these themes of like European destinations. So this was a London themed one, like complete with like red phone boxes, like English style cathedrals. There was a Harry Potter statue, Alice in Wonderland afternoon teas, like a Trafalgar Square, everything you could think of that kind of represents England was there. And it was really strange. Like, obviously, we loved it because we're from London, so we love seeing a bit of memories, and we had fun. And there's lots of kind of areas that you can take photos with, and it was good fun. It was a bit of a random day out, but it was a really good fun time. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that video. I hope you like it, because it was a really good place to visit. Just as a bit, it's a bit of a random place, but it was a really good place. And then my final day in Shanghai. Now, this was not Callum's favorite day. I'm just going to put that out there now. This wasn't Callum's favorite day, but it was my favorite day. We went to Shanghai Disneyland. Woohoo! So we went to Shanghai Disneyland, and I have actually been to the Disneyland before. I took some children from my school on a school trip to Shanghai for a residential trip. And of course, Disneyland has to be included in a school trip. Trust me, taking 30 10-year-olds to Shanghai Disneyland is the most interesting experience of my life. It was great fun. Oh, but goodness me, it was stressful. This was a lot less stressful because I was with Callum, but it was good fun. It was really busy and really hot. And to be honest, because it was the height of summer, I definitely wouldn't recommend going in the height of summer during the summer holidays, because the Shanghai Disneyland is the only Disneyland in mainland China, and it feels like everyone goes there. So it was definitely busy in the summer holidays. I know one of my friends have been kind of on the weekends as well, and it's still pretty busy. So I definitely avoid national holidays and the summer holidays because it was busy, but it was really good fun. So they have like this Toy Story land that had opened up earlier in the year, and they had lots of like themed food. I had a waffle that was in the shape of Mickey Mouse's head, which was super exciting. We got like I did get quite a lot of merchandise. I did buy quite a bit of stuff from the merchandise shops. And actually, I forgot to mention. So this is Creative Travel Guide, our travel channel on YouTube to share with you our travels. I have also started my own channel called KTO, and basically it means that it's on that channel I share like weekly vlogs and shopping hauls and kind of videos about our general life in China. So it's a bit more casual, it's a bit more kind of relaxed compared to our Creative Travel Guide one. This is kind of purely about travel. So over on that channel, on KTO channel, you'll have a bit more about me and about my life as a teacher here as well. So if you go over to that channel, what I'll do is I will leave the link in the description below, but it's basically just KTO. But it's a new channel. So when if you're searching it, search KTO Shanghai Disneyland, because it won't come up otherwise. But I did do a Shanghai Disneyland shopping haul where I've shared some of the things that I bought on our trip. I really did buy a few things too many, but I was quite sensible. I was impressed with myself. I was sensible. So that's what I say. Anyway, so go over to that if you want to watch some my shopping haul from Shanghai Disneyland. So we went to Shanghai Disneyland. It was great fun. Again, it was warm, but it was really, really fun. And we actually were able to watch the pirate show. Like they have a Pirates of the Caribbean show. They had a really fun parade, and we got some really good seats for our parade. We enjoyed they have, I don't know if anyone else who likes Disney is like this, but anything in the shape of food, like any food in the shape of Mickey Mouse, I just love. So they have like Mickey Mouse shaped pizzas and all that stuff. Anyway, that was Disneyland. Then the next day we left Shanghai and traveled to a place called Changzhou. Now Changzhou is just outside of Shanghai, and it's a smaller city. It is a city, but it's a bit more kind of old, but not old. I don't know what I mean by that. I mean by it's like it was a developing city, but it wasn't like full of expats. It wasn't full of hotels. It's really not a place that anyone ever visits as a tourist. So it was kind of like an authentic, growing, developing city. And there was no English anywhere. To be honest, there's not much English anywhere in China apart from perhaps Shanghai. But there was like no English. You know, everyone was very confused as to why we were there. But it was a really nice place to visit. And on our first full day there, we actually went to a place called Joyland. Now, what Joyland is, and I'm so excited for this video because I thought it was hilarious. Joyland is a fake Disneyland. Now, what I mean by that is, like, it really is a kind of a fake mix of Disneyland and Universal Studios. Like, it has the Joyland logo at the front, has, you know, like that Universal Studio Earth that has the name on it. It's exactly the same, but just with Joyland written on it. And they've taken like famous games and kind of replicated them into like not copyrighted rides. And I think, but like it was really strange because it had, we'd read about it before and we thought it was quite unusual. So we thought we'd visit. And it was really unusual because, first of all, you had kind of stuff that looked like Disney and looked like Universal Studios, but like a fake replica. But then, obviously, because I'm guessing it had been in the papers about how it was fake and how it was, you know, how it wasn't it was a copyright or whatever, like everything was closed. Everything. Like half the rides were closed, half the restaurants were closed, half the shops were closed. It was really random. That, I mean, it wasn't too expensive to get in, luckily, but it was a really random a like place to just walk around. It felt like an abandoned theme park that wasn't quite abandoned yet, if that makes sense. Like you would see the odd person wandering around, but apart from that, you pretty much had this like fake Disneyland to yourself. It was the weirdest experience. But if you are in China, especially if you're in Shanghai, I would definitely recommend just popping over to Changzhou, because it was great fun and it was definitely an interesting experience to have. So after that, we then spent another day in Changzhou and we went to a place called the Tanning Temple, and there was a really nice park area around there, and we tried some local food, and we went to a place called Bubble Bar, which had like some really nice craft beer in there. And actually, I must say, like, if you're visiting China, don't go to China if you're going with a group of friends and you want to have a good time in the evenings, because if I'm honest, there really isn't much of a bar culture in most places in China. If you go to Shanghai and Beijing, you'll be able to find a few more, but they're kind of more in areas like the Hutong areas and stuff. But generally speaking, bars are few and far between, especially in smaller places. So we live in Tianjin, and I think I can count how many good bars there are in Tianjin on one hand. So like, it's not that type of place. We don't mind it because we enjoy going to the restaurants and trying the local food. But just kind of, if you're planning a trip to China and that's the reason, then perhaps think about somewhere else, because it's not quite the type of place that if you're going to go out every night for some drinks, it might be quite difficult if you go into smaller places. So anyway, so we went to Changzhou, and then after Changzhou, we went to a place called Nanjing, which is again about half an hour away from Changzhou, and it's near Shanghai. You can get a speed train from Shanghai. They're really easy to get. You can book your tickets in advance on Ctrip, and it's really, even if you don't speak Mandarin, we hardly speak Mandarin at all, and you just book your ticket on the app and show your train, like the code that you have to the people at the train station, and you get your ticket easy. So that's what we did. And we went to Nanjing, and Nanjing has a really sad history, to be honest. Nanjing, we went there because we really wanted to visit this memorial, and it was really kind of harrowing to visit. It's a memorial that looks at a time during the war where Nanjing was taken over by the Japanese, and the whole city was collapsed, and lots of people were killed. Lots of bad things happened to that area, and lots of people suffered, and it was really sad because, to be honest, I didn't know anything about that until we were there. Like, that's not something that I've learned in my life. That's not something you learn about at school in the UK at all. And I think sometimes it's really interesting to find out pieces of information, pieces of history like that, that you didn't know before, just by visiting and seeing the devastation and seeing, and learning about it that way. And I think it was a really moving, well done memorial. But it was a bit of more of a kind of a harrowing trip, and we actually only had one full day in Nanjing. So it kind of was, I don't know, I think we were saying we might go back there because at the moment we associate it with this really sad memorial that we visited. So perhaps we need to go back there to enjoy the rest of the city a bit more as well. And then from Nanjing, we then went to Hangzhou. Now, if you are going to visit China, I would definitely recommend, if you haven't got much time, go to Shanghai, of course, because that's where most people fly into. But Hangzhou isn't that far from Shanghai either, and it is just stunning. So there's a really beautiful lake. It's a really kind of relaxed city. You still get everything, like all your conveniences there, but there's a beautiful, it's called the West Lake, and it's a really beautiful lake. You can rent a little boat or a paddler or whatever it is, or I think there was even like kayaks that went around this massive lake, and it's a really, really nice place to visit. And we were really lucky because we were staying actually in the Ibis Hotel. And it was on a road where there was lots of restaurants and bars and things like that. And we got to try a lot of the local food. So we had things like the West Lake fish, which I'm not a big fish eater, and I loved it. Callum, like, just every meal he wanted West Lake fish because it was so good. They also have something called dongpo pork, and it was a really like soft, tender piece of pork in like a sauce that was kind of like gravy, but couldn't kind of taste like gravy, but it had that kind of texture to it, and that was really nice. And we also had something called Longjing prawns, And Nanjing prawns are basically shrimp that's stir-fried in local tea. And that was really good. So we've actually, since we've come back to Tianjin, there are a few restaurants here that have that dongpo pork and have those Nanjing prawns. And we always like try to order them as much as possible when we are fancying a takeaway because they are so good. And then we also had some crawfish. Now, crawfish isn't particularly a popular, like it is popular in Hangzhou, but it is popular throughout the whole of China, particularly kind of in the spring and summer. And I don't know why this happened, but during the World Cup, because the World Cup in China was at such a random time here compared to anywhere else, I think most of the games were really early in the morning. A lot of the time when you then went to order food, if you were ordering food late at night or early in the morning, the only thing open was crawfish. So that kind of has become really popular in China since the World Cup. But yeah, so we had some of that whilst we were staying in Hangzhou as well, and that was good fun. So watch out for that video because you can see me very badly trying to peel a crawfish, which I really need to practice because I'm not good at that. And then from Hangzhou, we went to Guilin. So Guilin is much further south, and it's kind of, I think it's really not far from Hong Kong, actually. It's a few hours away from Hong Kong. So it's a lot further south. And we only stayed one night in Guilin to begin with because we were jumping in a Didi the following day to go to the rice terraces. So there is a place called the Longji Rice Terraces, and they are the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. Honestly, we've traveled a lot in our lives, and this is probably the best experience I've ever had. Because not only are the terraces gorgeous, but the reason we were only staying one night in Guilin is because we were leaving our luggage at a hotel and downsizing to just like a back. Callum had his camera bag, and I had a little suitcase, like a tiny little suitcase of some clothes for 2 nights. And we went and spent 2 nights in the Pingyang village. Now, the Pingyang village is a really it's a really old village that's there, and it's very kind of, it really hasn't developed much at all because it's in the middle of a village. It's in the middle of a mountain. And it's in the middle of the terraces, and it's surrounded by these terraces. So you have to, we got a Didi, and it was about a 2.5-hour drive from Guilin to the bottom of the mountain. And our Didi was great because he drove us up right to like the parking lot of Pingyang village. And then you have to hike for about 35-40 minutes up this mountain to get to your hotel. And I must say, like, I'm not the fittest of people, so it was a hard hike. However, the view from our hotel was worth it. The view was just spectacular. So we had this balcony that overlooked the terraces, and honestly, it was the best experience of my life. It was just perfect, and both me and Callum absolutely loved it. It was very romantic. It was very, it was just perfect. And the first night, because we got there and we were relaxing for a bit. Oh, hi. Apna Ashtal. Nice to meet you. Thanks for joining. So we went up so we stayed in this hotel, had this beautiful view, and we went for dinner in this local restaurant, and we had a really nice meal of some local food from Pingyang village. We had some some bamboo rice, which is like mushroom and vegetables mixed with rice, and it was cooked in the bamboo, so that was really nice. It was really tasty, and we had some chicken and some local kind of dishes, and it was just a really nice experience. We watched the sunset. One thing we didn't think about when we were leaving was that when we were walking back, everything was like pitch black. Because it's an old, it's a village in a mountain. They don't, they have electricity in your hotels, but they don't have street lights because there's no streets. So everything is like these cobbled steps that you move around the villages in. And we didn't have a torch with us because we didn't think that it would get so dark. We just didn't think about it. So in the end, luckily we had our phones and we used our torch. But honestly, like one slip of your foot, you would be down that hill. So I'm glad that we were safe. But so if you're visiting, definitely take a phone that has a torch on it, or a torch, even better, to this place, because it was great to kind of walk around and go to the go around in the evening, but it was really dark. So then we had our first night there, and the second morning we got up bright and early. We had some breakfast looking at our view from our balcony, and then because it was early in the morning, we actually watched sunrise and got some really nice photos. and then headed up to some of the viewpoints. Now, if you're staying and you want to visit the terraces and really enjoy them, I would definitely recommend staying the night. So we stayed obviously for 2 nights, and because we were there in the morning, we were up at like 5. We started our walk about 7:30, 8, and then we got up to the top and we were able to take photos. We were able to fly the drone. We walked all the way to the top, and we could do it at our own pace because it wasn't really that busy. And it was really nice to get some really beautiful views. Then when we got to the top, we had flown the drone a bit. We got some nice photos. We vlogged quite a lot of the trip as well, so expect those vlogs coming as well. And when we got to the top, there's like restaurants and cafes along the way, so you can go and sit down and have a drink or two as you move up. And so that was really nice. But then when we got to the top, we were like, you know what, this is great. We love this. And we looked down and we just saw like a horde of people coming, like walking up this mountain, because I think the tour groups kind of arrive at midday, between 10 o'clock and midday. And obviously they have to hike up the mountain. So if they're arriving at 10, they're not getting to the top by like 1. But because we stayed the night, we were able to kind of have it to ourselves almost. There was really not that many people around. So that was great. So I would definitely recommend staying so that you can have it to yourself. And then because it was getting busier and it was in the height of the summer, so it was really popular. So we walked back down and we had some lunch on the way. Again, honestly, I just love this bamboo rice. I had more bamboo rice. I'm not going to pretend I had anything different than that. And we also had some nice pork dishes and stir fries. So that was good. And I had ice cream. I remember the ice cream. I don't know why I remember the ice cream, but I remember having ice cream. I think probably because it was so hot. Anyway, so we went down this mountain and enjoyed the views on the way back down. Then went back to our hotel, kind of got showered up and ready to go back out. And we decided to actually, because we went to a few different like restaurants and had a drink or two, but we decided that actually we just wanted to have dinner. Like our hotel that we were staying at had a really nice we had breakfast there and lunch. Well, we didn't have lunch there. We had breakfast there and it was really good. And they had a really nice menu. So we're like, you know what, let's just have dinner on our balcony. You know, I say we paid extra for this balcony. When I say we paid extra, the hotel room cost us £17 a night. That was the equivalent of it. And it was this beautiful room. And it had the balcony, and I think it was like £5 extra for a balcony. So it was a really cheap village to stay in. But yeah, so we really, really did enjoy it. It was just beautiful, and we had a really nice meal and just relaxed, watched the sunset, and spent a nice evening on the balcony. And then we went back down. The next day, we hiked back down the mountain. And I must say, we were like, because we had a Diddy picking us up, and we're like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to give ourselves an hour, because it took us about 45 minutes to walk up this mountain. We don't know how long it's going to take to get back down. You know, what I will say is there are lovely women at the bottom of the mountain. When I say mountain, like of the rice terrace fields, that will take your bags for you. So they have like these big like wicker baskets that they put on their back, and you can put your like a bag in that and pay them, and they'll take your stuff up for you. They only charge like 30 RMB, something like that. So there was a woman that took my bag for me on the way because it was really heavy. So she actually met us and took it back down for us. And I was like, right, we'll give ourselves an hour before the Diddy driver arrives and takes us back to Guilin. I think we walked down in like 7 minutes. It was ridiculous. It really was nothing. And you know, when we got to the bottom, I was like, oh, I felt like that was a bit, we were very dramatic the first day, but yeah, no, so it didn't take that long at all to walk back down. So that was quite nice. We were able to go to a cafe there and have a nice drink and just kind of take in the last view of the terraces. And it was really, really beautiful, I must say. If you come into China, then that has to be the top of your list. I know Beijing and Shanghai are amazing, but that has to be the top of your list. It's just incredible. So anyway, we went back to Guilin and we had some local food there as well. And we went to we just kind of explored the area a bit, to be honest. Guilin is quite nice because it's a really dense city and there's lots of high rises, but there's still kind of like nature dotted around, and you can go to a few different popular sites around there. But because of that, it also has quite a lot of like restaurants and bars and stuff like that too. So we spent a day there, and then the following day we actually went on a river cruise. So they had a river called the Li River, and you can get a cruise from Guilin down to Yangzhuo. Now we decided to get the cruise, and you can if you book your cruise, there's different types of cruises, but we booked our cruise with the hotel we were staying in, and you can take your suitcase and things like that on the boat as well. So we were using it as transportation to Yangzhou. If you don't want to go on the river cruise, you can go to Yangzhou just by car. We got back to the airport afterwards by car. But it's a really nice experience. Like Li River gives you such beautiful views of like the Karst Mountains. It really is just spectacular. So we really enjoyed it. It was a really, really fun place to go, and a really nice experience. You got some really beautiful photos. And actually, I think it's the 20 RMB note. If you look at the Chinese money on the 20, there's a photo taken from the Li River, and we couldn't quite make it out. And then everyone else took out their 20s and started taking photos. So I think I've got the right area. So yeah, you can see that as well. So that's really nice. So we went on this Li River. What I will say as well, actually, and it's something that if we go back, we'll do this next time. If you don't want to do the whole it was a 3-hour cruise all the way down to Yangzhou. If you want to experience Li River, but you don't want to do the whole route, you can do like rafting, like bamboo rafting, which you go on like this little bamboo thing. This is what it looks like. But it just takes you down the river, and someone will pull you along, and it's quite a rapid, fun journey. And then you just get back on a bus and head back to Guilin afterwards. So yes, that was really interesting. But so if we go back, we'll probably do that because that looked really fun. But yeah, so we did this Li River cruise. We went to Yangzhou, and Yangzhou is I prefer Yangzhou to Guilin because it's a much smaller city. It's more of a town, and it has a really condensed, busy area. So there's like a crossroads that's packed of shops, souvenir shops, restaurants, bars, international restaurants as well. Like there was like a German bar, there's like an Italian place, there's all types of food they had there. But literally, if you just walked out of that street, you could see the mountains around you, and it was really, really nice. So we actually stayed on the area that is really busy is called West Street. We stayed just around the corner in this hotel, and we had a little balcony that we had Chinese tea in the hotel as well. So we sat on our balcony drinking our Chinese tea, and it had a really nice view of the Li River and the mountains around it. And wherever you go in Yangzhou, you'll get beautiful views of the mountains. And I must say, we were a little bit gutted because before we visited, we read that you could rent a golf cart type thing and go and use that and drive into the natural areas, like the outside of the city, to see the nature of the place. But when we got there, we were trying to rent one, and basically, I'm guessing something had happened, but the government have stopped allowing that now. So that was a bit annoying, but I was really looking forward to driving a golf cart around. But yeah, so you can't do that anymore, unfortunately. But you can rent a bike still. You can obviously just walk around, and that's what we enjoyed doing, and just kind of seeing the place and relaxing, going out for a few meals in the evening. And it was a really nice kind of way to end our holiday. So that kind of ended our travels in China. And then when we finished that, we actually went back to Guilin because we were flying home from Guilin. So we flew back to Guilin. Well, when I say home, I mean Tianjin. We flew from Guilin to Tianjin to finish off our trip. And annoyingly, our flight was delayed by 4 hours, which wasn't fun. But it was the only kind of thing that was the blip in our holiday. But yeah, it was a really good time traveling China, and I'm really excited because at Christmas we're going home to see our family, and I'm so excited to talk to them more about our travels. Obviously we've Skyped them and shared photos with them, but it's not the same. So I'm really looking forward to kind of sharing that with our family, because it was just an amazing, amazing experience. And if you're traveling China, do try and think of going to the Pingyang village, because honestly, I can't fault it. It's just the most amazing experience ever. So that's our travels in China. We will be sharing some videos shortly that kind of talk you through. We'll be sharing our vlogs of our trip, but I will also be sharing more videos about living in China. So if you like these types of videos, if you like live videos, make sure you hit thumbs up or leave a comment, because I would love to do these more often. I often get questions about living in China, about what it's like to live here, because I think it's one of those things that actually life in China is difficult to understand or difficult to learn about, because there's such conflicting arguments or point of views about life in China. So I think what I will start doing, if you're interested in watching this, and let me know, is anytime, when I get a kind of collection of questions, doing kind of almost like a frequently asked questions live video and just answering questions about what it's like to live here, because I think it's a really interesting place to live and I really enjoy it. But I would love to share a bit more about the actual experience of living here and how different it is to other places, and kind of things that I didn't expect, and expectations, and how things work here, because things are really different here than anywhere else I've ever visited or lived or been to. So I would love to share that with you. So if that's something you're interested in, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment. And if you have any questions as well that you would like me to answer, then just drop them in the comments below, because I would love to talk more about it. Anyway, I have talked far too long. I do apologize, but thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day wherever you are in the world. And again, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. But if you want to watch more of these videos, if you want to see the vlogs that I've just talked about our travels here in China, then make sure you hit subscribe, because those videos will be coming up very shortly. So keep an eye out for them. But until next time, I shall see you very soon. Bye.